Hey everyone, it's Latrell, and welcome back to Latrell Talks podcast sessions. So, today I am talking about story origins, and I am going to talk about the origins of the trilogy, the Friend Trilogy. I actually have a blog post up on my website, latrellmorris.com. You can go ahead and read that. And I'm just going to do a little summary or a breakdown of pretty much that post and maybe a little bit more. So, the Friend Trilogy actually started out as a short story called not the making. Sorry, that's actually the first book. The short story is called A Friend for the Lonely. Now, originally, I wrote that story because I was going to enter it into a fiction, speculative fiction book, and I entered in the story, but it did not get picked. So I said, okay, what am I going to do with this story? And I thought about, okay, I'm going to release it on my website, but at the time, I did not, because I wasn't fully immersed in my website just yet. I wasn't selling anything from my website at that point. And I guess I just didn't know which direction I wanted to go when it came to my website. The premise behind A Friend for the Lonely had to do with loneliness. And I'm someone who suffers from loneliness from time to time. I've been suffering with it, or I don't know, it depends on how you want to word it, but I've had it for probably well into middle school on up. So it comes in bursts. The past maybe couple of years it's been here, but it's hasn't been as prevalent as it was when I was in high school in my early 20s. But I decided to just write like a horror type sci-fi story regarding loneliness. So the premise behind A Friend for the Lonely is basically there's this woman, she has everything she could ever imagine that she's worked for, except she still feels like something is missing in her life and she feels lonely. I want to say this, you can have friends, you can have close family, but you can still feel lonely. You can have situational loneliness. You can have loneliness because you moved away. You can have loneliness because someone passed away, or just whatever. Loneliness is not because you lack love or because there's a lack of love in your life. It could be anything, can pretty much, well, I don't know, anything, but certain situations can cause loneliness. And I think my loneliness more so came from feeling like an outcast from the world and feeling like I was too weird, too different, and treated as such by my peers. So I kind of like went into a bubble where I put up a wall, and it was very hard for people to penetrate that wall because of my past and the way people treated me before, and just feeling like I was rejected by people. I mean, we're human beings. Humans are supposed to be social creatures, and when you feel like you can't get a certain social part of you to, I don't know, happen, or I don't know how I would say it, but if you're missing a certain social part of you, it can make you feel lonely, like you really truly don't have anyone that understands you. And so that's where my loneliness kind of came from. But back to the short story. So A Friend for the Lonely, like I said, she has everything she could ever imagine, but she's missing something. So her thoughts, whatever, start beaming out into the world. And then one day, so there's this fog that just kind of covers her neighborhood or her town. And everybody's afraid of the fog. And like, she's just like, it's just fog. And the next thing you know, sorry if you can hear my chair. I'm moving around. I'm just trying not to move around so much. But next thing you know, there's somebody knocking at the door, something knocking at the door, and she's like, okay, who is this? And the thing on the other side says it's a friend. She's like, a friend? Like, I don't know who you are. What are you doing here? So they're just going back and forth. She's like, just go away. I don't know who you are. She looks through the window and she sees something that scares the crap out of her. And so, she starts hiding, whatever. And the thing, I guess, just busts through the window and takes her. But the whole premise of the story, like I said, it's like a sci-fi horror, was her thoughts made the thing appear. Because she was so lonely, this being came down and said, okay, you're lonely. I'm going to make sure you're not lonely anymore. So it took her and it brought her with a bunch of other people who were feeling lonely. And so everybody's together now. However, they're kind of under a spell, or it's like a virus that they receive by touch. So when she gets into where she's at, someone touches her, and then all of a sudden she starts to get that virus and she doesn't feel lonely anymore. However, she's still aware of what's going on deep down. But I don't know if I'm explaining it as well, but yeah, that's pretty much the premise of A Friend for the Lonely. And I am going to be actually releasing the short story on my website, most likely in April, once all three of the books are out. The last book comes out on March 28th. So now on to the Friend Trilogy. So the first book is called The Making of a Friend, and it's told through Lena's perspective. I kind of wanted to tell it through three different perspectives. Lena, she is the lead robotics engineer. She works for this huge company. They've already done robotics before. However, they wanted something new and fresh. So Lena pretty much feels lonely in her life. So she decided, okay, a lot of people suffer from loneliness. I believe it's like a little over 30% of Americans have expressed that they feel lonely. So I kind of played on that and said, okay, Lena said, how about I create therapy robots or companion robots. That's her idea. She starts to play around with it, and they make this prototype. She has two other junior engineers that work with her, Tiffany and Albert. So they make this prototype. The prototype name is Trex, and Trex is a character. The character my mother hates the most. But so yeah, they're playing around with it. They're doing all types of stuff, and then they notice that Trex starts to read the mind of one of the junior engineers, and it's like freaking them out. Like, what's going on? We didn't program it to do that. But yeah, and so they decide to take a part of it out because they don't know what's going on. Once they take a part of it out, it starts to behave. I guess you can say it stops reading the mind. However, something about Trex is still not right. So Trex is basically starting to slowly act on its own, and it's starting to develop emotions, human emotions, and it's not the good human emotions. There's a kind of jealousy that Trex starts to develop, and jealousy and possessiveness, and it starts to turn into, it went from like light social sci-fi to a horror. And towards the end of that book, I'm not going to say what happens. If you haven't read it, you should go read it, pick it up. I prefer on my website, but you can go on Amazon as well. You just won't get the special things that I send. But anyway, back to the story. But yeah, towards the end, it kind of goes, it kind of turns into a horror. And if you don't like cliffhangers, you probably would be a little upset about the cliffhanger that I leave this story on. So the next book in the series is called Finding a Friend. And this one is told through Gabby's perspective. Gabby has nothing to do with Lena or any of her company. Gabby is just, I guess she's more of someone else who feels lonely and who's been trying not to feel lonely. She's been looking for a relationship. She's been unsuccessful with it. So she just feels this like loneliness, and like she wants a relationship, but it's not working out for her. So I guess this one is more of a thriller part, less sci-fi, more thriller. Probably a little bit of romance, but not much. But anyway, but Gabby is just trying to find her way and trying to process like what's going on in her life at this time, because she's in her mid to late 30s, and it's getting to the wire where she's just like, okay, what's going on? What's happening with my life? Like, yeah. But she sees a commercial. How many times? I think she sees the commercial twice regarding the companion bot. So technically, this is 9 months after the end of the first book, and they have these companion bots ready to go. So she sees the commercial and she decides, okay, let me do this. So she goes to the company and she's talking to a returning character, and I won't say who. She's talking to the returning character, and they're coming up, and she's trying to explain her situation. And so the character tells her, okay, I have the perfect robot for you, the perfect companion bot. It's like a down, how would I say this, a dumbed down version of an extreme companion bot. She doesn't feel like her situation is extreme enough for it to be something more. So it's kind of, how would I say this? Like I said, dumbed down, or a lighter version of the robots that they offer. So when she finally receives her robot, she's looking through it. She's there with another character in the story, and I won't tell who this character is because it'll kind of give away some of the story. But she's looking at it, and then all of a sudden she's about to close the box where the robot came in, and she sees this letter, and the letter is from the sales consultant who sold her the robot. And she's reading it, and she's like, should I not? Basically, the sales consultant needs her to help find a friend. So the title kind of has a double meaning: finding a friend for Gabby and finding a friend for the other character that's in the first story. So we come to the last book, and it's called A Friend Like No Other. And this story is told more so on the perspective of Trex. As I said prior, my mom cannot stand Trex. She hates Trex with a passion, especially what Trex did to one of her, I wouldn't say favorite characters, but a character that she liked a lot. In this book, you really start to see the horror or the consequences of having this robot be more than what it should be. And like I said, it has jealousy, a jealousy streak. It has a possessive streak. And I'll just go out and say it. Trex is possessive over Lena. If you go on my TikTok, you'll see there's a video and the video says, you are a creator, you are a god. So that is how Trex views Lena because Lena created Trex. So anybody that tries to get close to Lena, Trex is like, nope, that's not happening, because it's so possessive, because it sees her as a god. It sees her as its creator. It sees her, and I'll spoil a little bit of it. It sees her as its mother. And yeah, it like I said, it kind of goes from social sci-fi to horror. And I'm trying my best not to give too much away, but I will try and do a reading on the 28th when it's released. And yeah, it's just writing this character. Like I said, I try to take stuff from my situation, and Trex is a character when it comes to the possessiveness. That's something I cannot stand. I hate when someone is like, oh, you're mine and you can't do anything else. Nobody else can be around you. Or they feel like I have to be with them all the time. Or they have to know what I'm doing all the time. It's like I said, possessive. So I kind of encompass that part of a character trait I did not like or could not stand, and I put that on Trex. And I think that's one of the reasons why my mother doesn't like Trex. Yeah, it's just Trex is a character, and I guess I was just getting frustrations out, and yeah, just getting frustrations out, and things that I've encountered by other people that I wasn't feeling, or just didn't sit right with me. I am somebody who's more of a free spirit. I'm introverted, so when someone feels like they have to cling on to me, or they have to know everything I'm doing and everything else, I'm just like, nope. That's not happening. But that is the origin story of the Friend Trilogy. Like I said, there's The Making of a Friend, which is book 1 as told from Lena's perspective, Finding a Friend as told from Gabby's perspective, and A Friend Like No Other as told from Trex's perspective. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of this series. They're novelettes, so they're not long stories. I have a reason why I don't write long stories, but I actually have some novel sized stories coming out, so don't worry about the if it's really short. It's not going to be, they're not all going to be short like that. But yeah, I like I said, I'm proud of these stories, and I'm glad that I wrote them, because it was just a way for me. It's like therapy. So writing is therapy, and it's helped me a lot with a lot of things. So that's story origins.